The Lost Song of the Amazon. Deep within the heart of the Amazon rainforest, a world of vibrant colors, sounds, and life flourished. This immense, living jungle was home to creatures of every kind, from the stealthy jaguar to the playful monkeys, but perhaps the most remarkable of them all were the birds. The canopy was alive with flashes of feathers in every way imaginable. Parrots, toucans, macaws, and hummingbirds darted from branch to branch, their calls blending into the symphony of the forest. Among these birds, there was a legend of a special creature that was rarely seen, the Uruquary, known as the Songkeeper. It was said that the Uruquary held the soul of the jungle in its voice, a melody so enchanting that the entire rainforest would go silent to listen. But the Uruquary had not been seen for generations, and its song had long been lost to the ages. Many believed it was only a myth, a story passed down by the elders of the bird tribes. One warm morning, a young macaw named Koru was perched high in the trees, gazing out over the jungle. Koru was unlike other macaws. While most birds loved to show off their feathers or play in the sunlight, Koru was a dreamer, always thinking of what lay beyond the trees. His feathers were brilliant blue, with streaks of green and gold, but his mind was always in the clouds, wondering about the stories his elders told. Koru, are you daydreaming again? Asked Pio, his best friend, a lively little toucan with a bright orange beak. Pio was always full of energy, hopping from one tree to the next, always in search of a new adventure. I was thinking about the Uruquary, Koru replied, his eyes distant. Do you think it's real, Pio? Do you think there's really a bird out there with a song so beautiful that the whole jungle would stop to listen? Pio chuckled. You and your stories. My parents say the Uruquary is just a tale to keep us entertained. But who knows, the Amazon is full of surprises. Just then, an old parrot named Tura, with feathers that had faded from bright green to a soft grey, landed nearby. Tura was the eldest of the birds in their part of the jungle, and her wisdom was respected by all. I heard you mention the Uruquary, Tura said, her voice deep and wise. Many believe it is only a legend, but I know the truth. The Uruquary was real, and its song once filled these trees. But it vanished long ago, and the jungle has never been the same since. Koru's heart raced. Where did it go? Why did it stop singing? No one knows, Tura replied, her eyes clouded with memories. Some say the Uruquary grew tired of the noise and chaos of the jungle. Others say it was taken by the wind, carried far away. But there is one thing I do know, the jungle has missed its song, and without it, we are incomplete. Koru felt a pull deep in his chest. He had to find the Uruquary. The thought of bringing back the lost song filled him with purpose. I'm going to find it, he said with determination. Pio, his beak opened wide in surprise. You're serious, Koru, the Amazon is huge. The Uruquary could be anywhere, or it might not even exist. But Koru's mind was made up. I have to try. If there's a chance, even the smallest chance, that the Uruquary is real, then I have to find it. Tura nodded slowly. It is a noble quest, young one. But be warned, the jungle is full of dangers, and many have ventured into the depths never to return. You will need courage and friends to guide you. Without hesitation, Pio puffed out his chest. Well, if you're going, I'm going too. Someone has to keep you out of trouble. And so, the two birds set off on their journey into the unknown, leaving the familiar trees behind as they ventured deeper into the heart of the Amazon. As they flew, they passed over rivers that sparkled in the sunlight, gliding through canopies thick with greenery. They crossed paths with families of howler monkeys swinging from branch to branch, caimans lurking in the water below, and sloths hanging lazily from the trees. Days turned into nights, and the further they went, the denser the jungle became. The birds of the canopy seemed more cautious here, their songs quieter, their movements quicker. Koru could feel it too. Something was different. The air was heavier, and the trees seemed taller, as if they were guarding a secret. One evening, as they settled into the branches of a giant kapok tree, they met a tiny hummingbird named Nali. Her feathers shimmered like a rainbow in the fading light. What brings you to this part of the jungle? Nali asked, her wings buzzing softly. We're looking for the Uruquary, Koru explained. Have you heard of it? Nali's eyes widened. Deer Quarry. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. They say it lives in the Valley of Echoes, deep within the forest where nobody dares to go. But the way is dangerous, many have tried to find it and never returned. Koru's heart skipped a beat. The Valley of Echoes sounded like the place he had been searching for. Can you show us the way? Nali hesitated. I can take you a part of the way, but after that, you are on your own. The valley is a place where strange things happen, and even the bravest creatures are afraid to enter. The next morning, the trio set off, following Nali as she led them deeper into the forest. The trees grew thicker, and the sounds of the jungle seemed to fade. The air was cooler here, and a mist hung over the ground like a ghostly veil. At last, they reached the edge of a vast ravine. The cliffs were steep, and the ground below was covered in thick vines and dark shadows. Nali stopped and fluttered nervously. This is where I leave you. The Valley of Echoes lies just beyond, but be careful, things are not always what they seem here. With a final flap of her wings, Nali disappeared into the trees, leaving Koru and Pio alone at the entrance to the valley. Koru took a deep breath and stepped forward. The moment they entered the valley, the air seemed to change. Every sound they made echoed back at them, as if the jungle itself was whispering. The trees here were twisted and ancient, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. A strange silence hung in the air, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. As they ventured further, the echoes grew louder, until they seemed to form a pattern, a melody, faint but unmistakable. Koru's heart raced. Do you hear that? He whispered. Pio nodded, his usual bravado replaced with awe. It's the song, it has to be. They followed the sound, deeper and deeper into the valley, until they came upon a small clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a solitary tree, its bark silver and shimmering in the pale light. Perched on one of its branches was the most magnificent bird they had ever seen. The Uruquary. Its feathers were a brilliant cascade of colors, reds, blues, greens, and golds, all blending together in a breathtaking display. But it wasn't just its appearance that stunned them. It was the sound, the song that filled the air, a melody so beautiful it made the entire jungle seem to pause. Koru and Pio stood frozen, listening as the Uruquary's song washed over them. It was a song of the jungle, of life and growth, of rain and sunlight, of the river's flow and the wind's whisper. The Uruquary stopped singing and turned its bright eyes toward them. You have come far, it said in a voice that was a brilliant blue, with streaks of green and gold, but his mind was always in the clouds, wondering about the stories his elders told. Koru, are you daydreaming again? Asked Pio, his best friend, a lively little toucan with a bright orange beak. Pio was always full of energy, hopping from one tree to the next, always in search of a new adventure. I was thinking about the Uruquary, Koru replied, his eyes distant. Do you think it's real, Pio? Do you think there's really a bird out there with a song so beautiful that the whole jungle would stop to listen? Pio chuckled. You and your stories. My parents say the Uruquary is just a tale to keep us entertained. But who knows, the Amazon is full of surprises. Just then, an old parrot named Tura, with feathers that had faded from bright green to a soft grey, landed nearby. Tura was the eldest of the birds in their part of the jungle, and her wisdom was respected by all. I heard you mention the Uruquary, Tura said, her voice deep and wise. Many believe it is only a legend, but I know the truth. The Uruquary was real, and its song once filled these trees. But it vanished long ago, and the jungle has never been the same since. Koru's heart raced.